This is Tucker from MACkiteboarding.
And Jeff.
And today we have a special one for you. It is a completely redesigned Cabrinha Vision. So you might have heard the Vision in previous years. This one's all new and it's pretty special. So we wanted to bring you the info on it, give you a little bit of an overview and review here to let you know what the new Vision's all about.
For sure. I'd like to thank Brendan and Cabrinha for getting us a demo. I was able to get this before I went to Ventana in February.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm saying this is probably my favorite version of the Vision.
I think in the past I heard you say favorite Cabrinha wing.
I think it is.
Ever.
It is.
That's high praise because they've made some great wings.
It is. And you know, I go back with Cabrinha from my kiting days. I was a big Cabrinha fan. Got really improved my skills on the Cabrinha lineups, and now with winging. Yeah, when I was on the water in Ventana, I actually had a few team riders ride up next to me and go, "What is that?
Where'd you get that?
Where did you get that? Where did you get that, man? What's going on?" So yeah, first of all, just from eye appeal, I kind of like the clean look of the white with the blue. I don't know, just looks, yeah, it looks nice. I like the marketing with it, looks good.
I agree, it's a great looking wing. They do have other colorways as well if you don't like this particular one. Yeah. But yeah, it looks great on the beach. It looks very sleek and polished.
It does.
And yeah, it's a cool looking wing.
The only downside with white sometimes, if you're out in gnarly conditions with a bunch of white water, you know, it can be hard to see your wingmate if they go down or when they're out there on the water. But overall, yeah, good looking wing. I'm excited to talk a little bit about what I like about it. You know, they put some time and energy into this Vision, according to the team. And yeah. So I guess let's just kind of dive into it and look at maybe a little bit the characteristics, the build quality, and then we'll go over, you know, what the ride experience is.
Yeah, so we'll start at the front, kind of move our way through here. First thing that sticks out is the Cabrinha hard front handle. So this is something nobody else is doing. Nope. Something they've done a couple of years now. I think it's one of those kind of love it or hate it things, and we'll get into that more in the future, but it does give you a lot of control over where that wing is headed and gives you a real in-tune feel for how the wing is rolling and pitching and all of that. And it is removable if you don't like it or whatever. We do have a leash on it here. This does not come included.
Nope.
So I'll say it again, leash not included. That way you can pick whatever leash you like. You can see Mr. Jeff here has one with a harness attachment rather than a wrist cuff. Or if you prefer one with a waistband, you can do that. Or maybe you already have one from one of your previous wings. You can just slap that on there and reuse it. So it just connects with a pigtail like most leashes here.
And that is a change. They did have the wrist leash with their wings. Now,
previously, a couple of years ago, but I think
last
2 years now.
2 years.
No leash, so they're giving you that option, not pay more and choose your own. Underneath our hard handle here, we have this kind of soft, I don't even know what you call this, almost like suede material. Yeah. Real soft on your hands. Nicer than neoprene, I would say, because it doesn't suck up the salt water as much and chafe on your hands, so that's a cool improvement.
Agree.
Into the leading edge, this whole wing is made of premium Dacron. So this is the same kind of material you're finding in like a duotone SLS or ozone flux, or you know, those kind of high-end wings. It's not quite to the level of like a Lula or something like that, but really good material, very durable, very stiff, lightweight, proven, easy to service. You know, there's a lot to like about this premium Dacron. I find it's one of my favorite materials when I'm trying to balance high performance and low price. So I think they nailed it on the material choices here. We do have some Kevlar reinforcements on the seams and things like that. So again, just taking that durability and robust build next level. Yeah, on the wingtips. Yeah, so that's great. The shape of this wing from the leading edge is quite aggressive in terms of the dihedral. The leading edge of this has got a bit more of a point to it, so it's got a little bit more, I want to say speed or pointability. I think you mentioned, Jeff, that you felt that was a good way to describe it. It does navigate a little further back on the boom as compared to, say, the Mantis or the Air wings, which are very much more off the front. This one's balanced a little bit more off the back. So it's got a bit more grunt, bit more power. The power gradient is a bit more balanced in your hands, I would say. It's less backhand control and more both hands. And it's also just a bit wider in the sweet spot, I think is what I would describe, as compared to the Mantis, for instance, which wants to drive upwind and has a bit more of a finite flying position that it wants to fly at. So yeah, that's that. It makes it a bit more compact. It makes it a bit more easy to clear the wingtips when you're pumping with that extra dihedral. A bit more compact design, especially navigating from kind of the middle of the wing rather than the front of the wing. There's less wingtip that gets in your way. So I think that's just an ease of use thing for a lot of riders, especially beginners though that don't yet have that muscle memory to know where that wingtip is, and you're pumping hard and you're trying to miss it. Getting into the middle here, or actually before we go there, let's talk inflation. You guys know I'm an inflation weenie. A lot of times that for me is a frequent point of pain that I point out. I think Cabrinha's done a nice job here. They have their classic Boston style valve with the hose end connection, so no adapter needed as long as you're using a standard kite hose. Just plug in, play, pump it up, screw it back in. Same thing here on the strut. So you have a 2-point inflation possible, but also 1-point inflation. So you get to choose. I think that's pretty cool. If you want to do 2-point, you just pinch this off. That will allow you to inflate the bladder to a different pressure, although it's not really what they recommend.
Surprising 10
PSI, so it's pretty stiff, especially on the leading edge. 10 PSI for the strut
for this size
is more normal at 4.5,
Yep.
but I would say, if you want to do it easy, just pump up the leading edge, it'll pump up the strut. If you're going to 10 PSI, you're going to be pretty happy there, and then you can pinch it off if you want to isolate those bladders for sake of safety.
I've just done the 1-point inflation.
Yeah, the 1-point inflation is great.
Works
It
fine.
makes it easy. But then also having this there in case you do want to do that. Maybe you're a lighter rider, you want a little softer in the leading edge, but you still want the stiffness in the strut. You can do that dual point inflation. And then when you go to dump it out, it's a lot easier to deflate the wing with both of those valves unscrewed. The air moves out really easily and you can pack it down quickly and tightly really well. So going in the windows here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it is a really nice big window here. It's almost seamless across the center here. We do have a little strip there, but a nice window, and it's placed well, so when you're holding it, you can see through it really nicely. Again, I'm not big on windows myself, but if they're gonna be there, they should be functional, and I think they did a really nice job with it. They also have the mesh infill panel here in the back. So this does a couple of things. Number one, since we're talking about windows, it allows you to see through that panel to the other window. It's slightly obscured maybe, but still useful. You're still gonna tell if there's a rider downwind of you or something like that. So it gives you extra visibility. The other thing it does is it allows the wings to breathe across both ends of the canopy. So if you're flying it up here and your body's maybe a little bit in the way, it's going to take the pressure from the high side and help equalize it across the canopy, which just makes it fly more consistent and stable, gives you more power from the same amount of wind. So this is an interesting addition this year. We haven't seen this from any other brand. So we really can't speak to if this is going to be a new thing across all brands, if this is just a neat idea Cabrinha's figured out. I don't know, but it flies great. So I think we can say it's certainly not hurting the performance. Getting into the canopy here, we have a 2x2 ripstop for the most of the canopy. Keeps it nice and lightweight, but still stiff and rigid. We have the radial panel layouts. So that aligns your seams and the direction of the ripstop in the position of the load for the wing. So that really helps increase the rigidity of the wing and the longevity of it as you ride it more and more and more sessions. It's gonna last longer, keep that performance longer. And then along the trailing edge here, rather than Dacron, they went with a lighter weight nano ripstop material. So that is a heavier duty, stiffer ripstop than what you find in most of the rest of the canopy. That just makes sure that trailing edge stays tight and it's not bagging out and flapping. It's giving that support, but without the weight of the Dacron.
Got the old school battens.
We got the old school fiberglass battens here, so that's great. If you damage them, they're not going to get bent. They always return. Worst case scenario, you break one, you can replace them easily. Pro tip, if you're on a trip and you need to replace one, go to a Chinese food restaurant, get yourself some chopsticks and replace it with that. It'll work just fine. Going into the strut, We have a convex strut, they call this guy, so it curves out this way a little bit and then back in. What that does is it helps to give you kind of a bridge here, gives you more stiffness without adding width, without adding expensive materials. So that's part of what keeps this wing really stiff and high performance and gives you that direct response at the boom, which is our next point here. This wing comes included with the boom. It is removable with 2 screws here if you want to remove it for some reason, but most people are just going to leave it connected how it is, and it's a good boom. It's got great grip, nice big pistol grip here, good control, very stiff, kind of an oval feeling, and it does have, let's see if we can turn this to show you guys, kind of a unique texture where your hands are. So where your standard kind of hand positions are for this wing, they give you sort of a tactile reference there, also color reference. So if you're flying this wing for the first time, just kind of put it in the center of those things, the color of the tactile things there. And then also when you move your hand off of it, you know that you're in that one hand flying position here. So if you're in the front hand, slide it down until you don't feel those things. That's where you're gonna rip around on this wing one-handed. You can also see that's where Mr. Jeff has positioned his harness line from the last time he rode it, right in the middle of where those hand indicators are. So that's where the wing is balanced. So yeah, that's kind of the technical build side of this thing. Jeff, you've ridden it more than I have. What's the experience like?
Well, I think you set the table well. Way to dive into every piece of this, because it does translate in what I experience. 2 things that really stood out. Number 1, things got grunt. The material here, just how it's the tension, you can pump it, and so you can size down with these.
You can see there's quite a bit of foil section here, and with the dihedral,
big pocket of power.
You got a lot of lift,
loads of lift, loads of power, which I noticed number 1. The second thing is what really got me excited about the Vision, is how well it goes upwind. It's a lot speedier and faster wing than I remember from the Vision. So those of you that are looking for a little more performance out of your wing, if you've been in had a Vision before or in other wings, this thing just blows upwind.
Let me stop you there a second.
Yeah.
Because I think this is really a critical part. If anyone's ever flown a Vision before, and we've both flown the previous Visions quite a bit, it was a great wing on the low end. But I think what I'm pulling from that is it didn't have a lot of high end range. The upwind was kind of okay, acceptable, but not fantastic. The top end range would get kind of uncomfortable if you're pushing the limits and you're starting to get overpowered, you really know it, and it would really start to kind of rock back and forth and get less comfortable and less stable. You're saying that's changed. We got a lot more high end, we got a lot more upwind.
Yeah, so I've ridden this a lot. You know, when I was in La Ventana, we didn't have the really high end winds, but I was able to make this work in probably about 14 knots up to 21.
And so that's 4.5.
That's 4.5. Yeah. So that speaks to the DNA of this wing, where they've changed it and they've improved it. Yeah. It's not just a wing that can have a lot of low end grunt and get you up and riding, but once you're up and riding, this thing can take the higher wind, feel very smooth and stable, and kind of slice through the wind very efficiently. And I think you mentioned it with the boom and where the sweet spot in this. It is a little further back. If you notice how far back this harness lines are, typically you would think the front harness line, you generally put that just behind where the front handle would be, which I would think on this wing would be closer to here. But it's further back. That way, with this wing, kind of with its angle of approach here, like you said, you know how it's designed, you can point it and it wants to, like kind of like an arrow, just go right through the wind and up the wind window. You know, I have a lot of experience on the water with windsurfing, kiting, going upwind, but I got to feel good for an old man. When I was down there with some of the young Groms, we were doing upwinders from the south end of La Ventana all the way up to the hot springs, and I made it up with this probably with about 4 tacks. I mean,
that's big, man.
And I was with some good riders that were a little younger than me. The old guys can still have some fun on the water with this thing. And they even said, wow, that wing jets upwind really well. So those are 2 things that are really stand out with a Vision. So a Vision historically has been a wing that I would sell to anyone. Obviously, want to learn the sport. Just getting in the sport, it's going to give you that power to get up on foil. It's going to give you a riding experience when you're up that's going to be, nice. But this year, they dialed it up. I think this is something that not only can you learn on it and progress on it, but this is a wing that if you've been in the sport for a while and you want a wing that has a lot of speed, has upwind drive, has power, you can kind of really stretch the size, meaning you don't need a lot of sizes in this wing. Like I said, this wing surprisingly will get you up in lighter wind than you'd expect a 4.5 to go, and you can stay on the water longer. Yesterday, when I first got up, it was blowing about 15 knots. I was the guinea pig on the water, and they all were watching. They were in their cars. They weren't even dressed yet. I was optimistic that I was going to make the 4.5 work. I got up, and then the wind cranked. We had a little snow squall come in, and it cranked up to over 30. I was able to stay on this wing, so it's a testament to its range. Really impressive.
Coming from the vision of the past, which was very much kind of a light wind or beginner wing.
And then get blown off.
And then you get blown off. You need smaller sizes.
Size down.
I think the new vision brings it into that upper echelon of wings that you and I typically like to ride. They might have some low end, and that's great, and it's really accessible, and it saves your butt from pumping up a bigger wing. But really, it's a wing you can go out confident on that you're going to have enough power. And if you end up picking it up and it's really lit, even better. Now you have extra power and it's still comfortable. Something like a Reed and Supernatural, something like an Ozone Flux. In that realm of wings, which in the past the Vision really
I wouldn't put it there,
wouldn't compare.
It's climbing the steps to improvement. I'm really impressed with it. And going a little bit into the handles, I was a big component of hard handle would be a great idea in front of a wing. I do think there are some things that are nice about it. The only downside is it's kind of like riding a bike or having something without shocks. If there is any kind of play out the back, it's going to transfer straight to the handle and you're going to feel it. So at times, when you're flagging it out on the wave, this isn't a dedicated wave riding wing that the Mantis is more towards, those that like to be more on wave riding. But with the solid handle, if I was going to give a little bit of a critique of it, it just, you feel all that feedback. So not that you have to muscle it because the wing does pretty good flagged out, but occasionally, it just gives you a little bit more, just a little critique on that. I
think the more you ride it, the less you notice it. Especially if you grip it kind of lightly. With a lot of leading edge handles, they're so soft, you really have to grip them tight to gain that control. With this, you can hang onto the super light, you still have great control, and then that way you're not feeling all the little bumps and feeling like you have to fight them. Just let it flow. Just let it hang in your hand. It's going to go where it needs to go. But being that it has more dihedral, it is a less stable wing as compared to like the Mantis or the Air 2. But it's not necessarily a huge problem, especially when you have so much control of it. You just got to remember, you don't need to fight it every time. You only really need to fight it if it's going to go somewhere that you don't want it, like in front of you, or if it's going to roll over. And even if it does roll over, that's fine. You can just go with it.
Well, and that's where I was going to, my conversation was leading to. If I have been able to ride some waves with this, I found it to be best pistol grip. And I'm not usually a pistol grip guy. I usually like to hold it out the back and low and just keep it behind me and then switch hands. But I found this to be a really comfortable position for this wing. And it flew very well, holding it off to the side that way. And again, this is marketed as a free ride, freestyle, kind of do it all.
Back flippy, spinny, front flippy, go crazy. I'd also throw waves in there, honestly. I think for especially a rider that rides with the wing more actively on the wave, for flagging out and just leaving the wing there, I think the Mantis or the Air are better wings for that. But if you're riding the wing actively, allowing it to float you over sections, using it to build speed, using as leverage into turns, almost like a windsurf sail. This wing is fantastic for that. It does give you that quick responsiveness, that immediate power if you just need that little bump to get you past a section. And like you said, holding it pistol grip, when you are just cruising on the wave, it's really ready to re-engage quickly rather than walking it in from the leading edge. This thing is ready to grip it and rip it whenever you decide you need it.
So well done, Cabrinha. This is a wing that I'm excited about. I've spent some time in different conditions on it. I've only been on the 4.5 size, haven't been in other sizes, but again, this I've sized down. I think you can with this because it has so much power. Very efficient though once you're up and riding. You know, just how it slices through the air, and again, how you can manipulate it and move it around, going upwind. And like you said, when you're getting on waves, want to be more actively riding it, this wing does well. Putting it up over your head for tacks, you know, and doing heel side, toe side, no problem with this. It's got pretty good lift and floatiness. So
yeah, I would say going into tacks or anything upwind, you know, like you said, get up near the front of this.
You need to go,
because if you're flying back here, you know, you just go into a tack like that, it's going to have a little nose down on you because of the balance of the wing.
Push.
Slide that front hand forward before you go into attack, and then it's going to float through really nicely without too much down pressure, you know, on your hands. And just that one little tip, just slide that hand forward before you go into attack. You know, any wing that's balanced further back, I mean, any wing in general is going to fly better off the front of the handle through attack, but especially on a wing like this where it's a bit more balanced towards the middle of the wing, that's a critical tip.
Yeah, so there you have it, the 2026 Vision. I think, again, a wing that I'm excited about. I'd like to get more people on it too, some local riders now that it's finally warming up, get some of their feedback on it. So it's a wing that we're going to be stocking some of.
We'll have it for sure. This has been one of our highlight wings, I would say, for the year. In the past, you know, Cabrinha wings have been some good wings for sure, but you know, maybe other wings have sort of taken some of their thunder with new innovation and design, but they're right back in it with the Vision, I would say. Poking at anything, is there anything that stands out to you, Jeff, that you don't love about this wing?
Other than the front handle, like I said, you know, that was one.
You can remove it.
Yeah.
It might be interesting if Cabrinha offered an add-on soft handle for those people that would like that.
So you can feel the play a little bit more.
For me, I might take it off entirely. I mean, if I'm not doing a downwinder or something, I mean, you can ride right here really nice, and that does improve the flow over the wing. But I gotta say, I don't hate the hard handle. It's something you gotta kind of get used to. But after, you know, an hour or something, you just kind of learn to loosely grab it. When you do want it to control the flip over the wing and stuff, is very responsive and easy for that.
I would say one other small little thing, it is more of a locked-in wing. So what I mean is you can get locked in with it, and where I felt that is sometimes when I'm flagging it from here to here, it can kind of want to, like it wants to catch or kind of feel a power pull in a way. Sometimes you have to kind of tame it a little bit. Yeah. But hey, I like the power. Like I said, I like the speed with it. I like how much power it has. So I think once you get used to that,
I think it's a product of how wide the sweet spot is, right? Like, on a wing that's a bit more technical, you know, you feel like those little adjustments actually change things, and then you get that feedback to know. With this one, I mean, it's a really wide sweet spot. I mean, here to here, you can really, you know, pull and go. You can really, you know, make some little changes that don't make or break your riding. You can kind of just hang in there and hold it, and it's pretty happy there, which I think is good for new riders. I think it's good for any rider that really wants to focus on other things other than tuning the sail. And in shifty wind, it's really beneficial for that as well. Being an inflation weenie, a weight weenie, I would say, let's remove the one pump. I mean, it's not so hard to go from here to here and pump them up independently. That does remove some cost. It does remove some weight. It does remove some complexity to repairs and servicing the bladders and things like that with this. So I get it. They want to give you the option, dual point or single inflation. It's kind of the best of both worlds other than those small details. Personally, I'd rather see them just remove this and do the 2-point inflation, but I'm a little bit of a purist, so I'm sure there are people that would disagree.
Yeah, all in all,
heck of a wing for the price especially.
It is.
I mean, this is a really great value. You get a lot of performance, a lot of range, a lot of quality for your dollar here. So good on you, Cabrinha. You guys crushed it for this one. This might be the switchblade of wings, dare I say.
It's funny you said that, because I think that's, you know, those that have been in the wind sports for a while know the old switchblade. You know,
the legend, man.
Does it all, and you know, I'm seeing some DNA and thought process with that. So, anyways, wow, we dove into it. We got out every detail, went deep with it. But if you guys have any further questions, you want to talk sizes, you know, send us an email, send us a chat. I'm more than happy to get you on the new Vision for sure. Again, it's been Jeff here from MACkite.
And Tucker.
Choice dope.
See you next time.
This wing goes upwind like no tomorrow. Cabrinha, it's their new Vision.
First time on it, it's incredible. Absolutely insane.